All right, everybody. Thank you for attending and or watching the DNN EAG Awareness meeting. This is the meeting for March 2019, and I think we might have just got another attendee. Let me see here. No, those must be sounds. People joining with their speakers. All right. So far in today's meeting, this is our list. If you are watching this after the some point and you'd like to participate in the future of DNN, please let us know in the comments or Twitter or wherever you find us. All right, so the agenda. Well, before we get to the agenda, we have some folks that are new to the group and or new to the meeting. And that's a good point, David. If you are not talking at the moment, it is a great idea to mute yourself. You never know how loud your keyboard and other things in your room are. All right. Ernie, I'm not sure you've been in a meeting before, have you?
Oh, this is the first time for me.
Excellent, excellent. Why don't you introduce yourself to the group?
Sure. I'm Ernie Lopez. I'm with Manage.com, and I represent the greater corporation, which is Deluxe.
Outstanding, outstanding. Thank you, Mr. Ernie. We're very happy to have you. And we also have another first-timer to the meeting, Mr. Scott Cadera. Is that how you say the last name?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, why don't you introduce yourself, Scott?
Sure. I'm Scott Cadera. I'm the Director of Web Development at Fort Lewis College in Durango, Colorado. I've been at Fort Lewis since 2005. I've been in Durango since 2001. We've been using .NET Nuke for about 9 years now. So we are currently undergoing a major redesign. We're working with a company called Staymates, which is actually a higher ed marketing company that happens to have some .NET Nuke experience. So that's where we're at.
Outstanding. Thank you for joining the group, Scott and Ernie. We really appreciate it. Yeah, awesome. Did I miss any newcomers? It looks like everybody else has been here at least once, if not many more times. All right, sounds good. And just one more time, just in case other people have joined, is there anybody else that's missing on the attendee list? All righty. So the agenda. So real quick, we're going to review some of our primary goals, and then we're going to go through the progress. This is going to take, the progress portion takes up the biggest chunk of our meeting. Then if we need to, set any new goals for next month, review long-term goals, and then there's an open forum, both recorded and otherwise. Let's see here. What do you say, Sasquatch? Oh, whatever. All right. Got a bunch of peanuts in the peanut gallery. All right, so individual goals. The things that we're asking everybody to do is either champion or co-champion something. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to be the leader of that particular area, but you know, help drive the ball forward. We ask that everybody does at least 2 things a month. You know, we don't feel like that's too much to ask for anybody. You know, we're all busy, of course, and so you know, 2 things a month is a great goal to hit. And if you're able to hit that consistently, make it 4, right? And you know, those things don't need to be huge. They don't need to be, you know, an entire section of a website that just got updated or something like that. You know, they just need to be something. And then all of that to help us generate a snowball effect. One of the things that you can do is, you know, help other people know that they're able to do these things too. You know, let people know they're able to blog or make videos, and that, you know, even though somebody else has done a video or done something before, it doesn't mean that they can't do it too. And then, of course, keep in constant contact. You know, that's primarily talking about, you know, whether we're using Skype or Slack or what have you. Keep in constant contact so that way we're policing each other and trying to reach our goals. All right. So we're about to go through the update section. Are there any questions or comments before we go to that? Sounds good. Silence is golden, as they say. All right. So the updates. So just real quick, I'm going to summarize each of these areas, and then we're going to go through the updates from the individuals that are the champions there, and or give updates about whether or not we need champions for an area. So the first thing is community dashboard, and so that's to create basically a spot where everybody can go onto the website and say, okay, the community, the health level of it, the activity levels of it. Here's where we are, and here's how we're trending. Is it good? Is it bad? Here's a leaderboard to see who's contributing the most for a given time frame, and so forth. The speaker program is an area where we're going to create a way for speakers and user groups to find each other, as well as find speaker materials. So speakers can have a profile, user groups can find and solicit speakers, as well as speakers being able to contribute and use quote-unquote canned presentations, so presentations that, for lack of better terms, are maybe open sourced, right, for other people to use. Another thing is a user group program, so reviving that, getting the module for that out there, and getting user groups signed up on it, and there's some other areas of scope for that as well. Increasing social activity, that hopefully is self-explanatory. Increasing the number of DNN blogs, whether it's on DNN's website itself or in other places. Increasing the number of YouTube, well, it doesn't have to just be YouTube, but videos and tutorials. YouTube just happens to be the most common one. And let me add a new attendee. Oops, with the correct spelling. There we go. Oops, too far. All right, and training course, creating courses for people to train on how to do various things in DNN on non-DNN websites. So, think about, the various training websites that exist out there, helping get the word out on other platforms that DNN exists and how to use it. Same thing with curriculum, but this would be more an educational area, so creating a curriculum for schools of various levels to use and to DNN to their students, and then increasing number of new and updated extensions out there. This is specifically talking about open source, of course. Maintaining and creating and releasing the .com and .org websites. We got huge updates there, so I'm trying to get to that really quickly. And then theme creation, so getting more open source themes out there that are using more contemporary standards and frameworks and platforms and so on. Alrighty. Before we start to get into individual updates, are there any questions about these areas? Sounds fantastic. And welcome to the meeting, Jeremy. All right. The community dashboard. Mr. J, we have the last update we had from you. It looks like we had the Trello board has a task for this. I have not had a chance to go and review the individual tasks. Do you have any updates for us on this one?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Can you hear? Oh, apparently you can hear us now.
Yeah, great. Okay. So on this particular task, no, I haven't made any progress on this in the last month, other than putting it on the Trello board. It's something that we'll be tackling in the coming months as we get closer to developing .org site. I've done a bunch of work on it already. I just kind of put on hold for now. Other stuff is taking priority.
All right, sounds good. So right now though, nobody's able to see it anywhere, right? You just got the work done. It needs to be put somewhere for us to review and get feedback. Yeah. All right. So as far as let's see, we still need to make output available for review. Is that something that you think we can have done in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'll try and get it done the next couple of weeks. I don't know. I'm heads down on a couple other things for DNN right now, but yeah.
Okay. Sounds good, sir. All right, and Jay is also the one of the leads of the .com and .org initiative. Do you have any updates for this one? That's a lead in.
No, nothing. Yeah, so we discussed this at Summit a little bit. We kind of talked about. I broached the idea to the business roundtable, and generally, I think the feedback was pretty good. I was hoping to get some more people interested in kind of coming on board and helping out. I didn't get a whole lot of volunteers out of that effort, but I think people understand generally the direction we're trying to go. and are agreeable with our strategic direction. Since last month, I guess we've created the Trello board and put a bunch of tasks on it. So I think the next step there is to start assigning people to take the leads on these tasks and start knocking things out.
And this is the same board. Yeah, so
just a quick question on that. Are we planning on meeting and kind of talking about overall overarching strategy on this stuff and how we're going to attack some of this? Because good job in organizing the tasks and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to end up being a free-for-all, it seems, with duplicate efforts if we, if we don't kind of come together and figure out an approach for it.
That's a really good point, David. That's one of the things that we almost started, not, like kind of in the early stages, but we definitely should consider having a meeting, if not monthly, more often, that's specifically about this. And Jay, since you've been taking the ball and running with it for the longest, it may make sense for you to lead that effort as well. Is that something that you'd like to do, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure, that's no problem. I think we probably need to meet like at least twice monthly or something like that, at least in the beginning when we're trying to get the ball rolling here. And I guess we could put out a meeting request in the Slack channel and just say, hey, we're going to meet anybody that's interested in being in this group. Come join us.
Yeah, so for those that aren't aware, there's various channels inside of Slack, and by default, you don't see them all. And so if you click on the word channels, let me bring this over here. So right up here, there's the word channels. Where right now, when I highlighted on it, it says browse all channels. When you click on that word, you're able to see all the channels that you aren't a part of, and you can add yourself to them. So I'm saying that to say this. Now the bubbles are in the way. Can I just hit escape? There we go. If you want to be part of this effort, you want to add yourself to Goals DNN websites, and Jay will put in there the various meetings and whatnot, the information there, and that's where we're collaborating on a lot of the information. In addition to Trello for specific tasks. So add yourself to that and join the meetings. All right. So there's been a lot of effort, so there's tons of tasks done. There is one other part of this that I just want to bring up, but we shouldn't spend the meeting on this, but we do need to put the information out there so everybody is aware. And then we can continue the conversation in Slack and or in various meetings that are specific to this effort. But I did want to bring up, Thompson did some good work with, researching, whether or not the domain name makes sense. And so that's something that we will want to discuss as a group in the group that does this effort. So Thompson, do you want to just briefly give us an overview of what you discovered and what you did?
Sure. So last week, or just 2 weeks ago, when we were all together, and I heard that the DNNsoftware.org was going to be the URL of the site, I was like, well, I get that. I understand that we have some desire, or some people have some desire to align with the corporation. But I did some research. Actually, I had my team do some research around Google Trends and just search volume. And what we found was that the DNN software phrase itself pales in comparison in search volume to other keyword phrases around DNN. So phrases like DNN platform, DNN CMS are literally millions of searches every month, whereas DNN software is, I think, about 150 to 250,000 searches a month. So literally somewhere around 10%, maybe 12% of search volume. And so I did a bunch of research on this, and then went ahead and registered some domains that I thought I could contribute to the foundation and the community if we wanted to go that direction. But I feel like this is one of those conversations I have with the customer where, the URL that you put in all the print materials and that you put into your marketing pieces doesn't necessarily have to be the same URL that is the core URL for domain authority on the internet, for especially organic search for us, because we want this site to get found. Honestly, I think a lot of us would prefer that it outstrips the DNN software site in traffic. So I put together some ideas around, DNNCMSplatform.org, DNNCMS.org, all which were available. And I looked at some other suggestions that some of other members of the group had put forth. I think some folks were like, well, the DNNplatform.org is really what we call the product that the community works on, and that would be the ideal domain. And I said, well, that's fine. That is owned by ESW Capital right now, and whether they know it or not, it's generating, those keywords are generating a fair amount of traffic. Whether that domain is generating a fair amount of traffic or not remains to be seen, because it is just a redirect to the platform page on the site. But so my points were a couple. A, I think if we can accomplish some fundamental keyword load within the domain that's going to run the community site, whether that's the one that we publicize all the time or not, that can always be a redirect. I think that's worth discussing. And it's worked really well for other clients of ours that really had a fundamental desire and basic need for organic search traffic. I think the other thing that I wanted to bring up, and I'm happy to help champion this, is I don't think that there's a central repository for the domain portfolio that the community has today. And I think that's a mistake. I think leaving it in various people's accounts all over the internet is probably not an ideal situation. Nor do I think, when I checked earlier this week, the DNNsoftware.org domain, while, DNS was pointed to a new site where presumably the community site would be held, the corporation still owns that domain, which I also would not recommend. I think if we're going to own this as a community, then those domains need to be released wholly and fully to us as community members. We need to set up a single registrar account somewhere. And honestly, I think it should probably be owned by one of the not-for-profits. And then if you want to contribute money toward the renewal of specific domains within the portfolio, you should just contribute money to get that covered, rather than everybody just contributing from within their own account and having what seems to be sort of a Wild West show of registration and ownership across all the domains around the community. I'm also going to put together a more formal visual of what I'm proposing with what is a redirect and what is the core domain. I think that fundamentally we need to look at, I know that Clint and it's Kelly that put together the DNN doc site. I think having that as a separate domain, as a jump URL is a great idea, but we should absolutely pivot that as a subdomain off of whatever domain we use for the community site, if not to benefit the overall domain authority for that domain. Even if it's a subdomain, it will help. It's not as good as it being on the same site, but we know it can't be on the same site because it's not going to actually run in DNN technology. And again, we can use as many jump URLs, dnndocs.com.org, and redirect those. But I think the fundamental location of the doc site and some of the other promotional sites that I'm kind of thinking about as part of the community site would also be on that domain. So not to extend the conversation too long, but those are some of the things that I'm thinking. I think, will you put a lot of the data points out into the Slack channel, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we got a thread started that is discussing all of this, and we put it because we were first talking about it over email, and very few people are involved in that conversation. So I transitioned that over into the Slack channel. So, and there's a thread that's specifically about this, where if any of you have specific feedback or you want to help in that effort in the various ways that Thompson had outlined, or you just want to help discuss it, that's where you'd want to go. And so that's a great summary, Thompson. I really appreciate it. And so now those folks that haven't been in that channel or haven't been in the conversation are now part of that. So I don't want to hijack the entire meeting with just one area of focus, even though it is arguably our most important area of our focus. But is there anything else for the .com and .org that we need to discuss before we move on to the other areas?
Well, do we want to use this opportunity to talk about what Thompson's proposing, or do we want to just move that to Slack?
We should keep that in Slack, and with all the detailed stuff, we should keep in either the Slack, Trello, and then the individual meeting for this specific effort, because otherwise other folks in areas won't get any traction in this meeting. Does that make sense? Does anybody disagree?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Just let me know when you guys want to jump on and talk about this, or I'll watch the Slack channel. Well, I'm actually going to ask you to add my work address to the Slack channel. I sent you an email. If you can do that, I'd appreciate it. I don't know that I can do that from my...
Just send me a note outside of the meeting, so that way I remember to do it.
You got it. It's in your inbox already.
Oh, I already put that in there.
Thanks for letting me speak up, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. Obviously, everybody is open for that. All right. So moving on to social activity, we don't officially have a champion for this yet. I'm going to just skip by this for right now because I'm not sure we need champion. Whenever we start to be able to review the community dashboard, that might actually be something that's an overlap and become part of it. So we're going to move on to blogs. And I'm going to go ahead and start on this one. This area doesn't specifically have a champion. We're all kind of championing it in our own way. And what I mean by that is there's various members in the group where we see somebody doing something cool and we're like, hey, you should blog about that. Oh, I don't have a blog. Well, that's cool. We can get you on the DNN blog site. And we can. Anybody in the community can go on there and they can blog. Even if they blog once and never again, that's one more blog about something specific, something cool, something interesting, some DNN content that we can help with. But that's not the only place people can blog. There's places like Medium and whatnot. So don't feel like you have to blog in any specific place. The more blogs we have in different platforms and different channels, different mediums, quote unquote, the better. So I just literally, like within a minute before starting this meeting, released a blog. Upendo DNN generator. So I created a video that kind of very quickly summarized some of the work I discussed at DNN Summit, but I still have a DNN Summit summary blog that should be dropping later today. And that's me so far.
Toss me in on that too. I've got my presentation that I need to get pushed onto on the Sprocket.
So you have what now? You have a blog dropping, or it's already dropped? Or what?
Blog dropping. It's the basically a repeat of what I talked about at the summit.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything notable to mention about the blogs? Any efforts? Any like very important blogs that you're about to release? Anything like that? All right. So blogging, that doesn't mean there's no blogs happening, just for the people that are new. There's plenty of blogs on the DNN website. We just generally mention here some of the more important things that we want to discuss with folks, or at least make people aware of. All right, the videos and tutorials. Again, the blog I just mentioned is also an announcement of the video that I'm mentioning. So the Upendo DNN generator, and for those of you that are not aware what that is, it's just a very cool template tool that we built to allow people that are developers to build any kind of DNN extension faster. So that went out there, and while it's a 25-minute, or it's 24 and some odd second video, you know, the way I'm touting it is it's 24 minutes to save you tons and tons of time moving forward. And David, you were last doing an NV Quick video series. Is that still in the works? Is that had any traction? You've been pushing stuff. What's going on there?
Yeah, we're going to be releasing a few new videos now that we've gotten back from Summit and are starting to get into some sense of normalcy around here. We've got a backlog of videos that we're planning on doing.
All right. There's normally an update from Adderson, but he didn't. He normally tells me if he's not going to be in here, he gives me a list of all his stuff. But he has been, you know, every month helping us with our quota here. So, okay, Patterson. Anybody else have anything notable for the videos and tutorials area?
A week just before the conference, I put out a video called DNN Does That for e-commerce. And Jeremy and Curity did a site for Bell. Regardless of where things go in the future, Jeremy, it doesn't really matter. What's important is that it happened out there and that it's a name dropper kind of situation. We want the world to know that a large organization, somebody that you'd say, oh, they must be smart, they want to use this tool, uses it for a particular application. And so the first thing to think of, I thought of, was e-commerce. And found out via Will and Jeremy about Bell, the motorcycle helmet people that have a hotcakes and DNN solution for an e-commerce website. So I made a 1-minute commercial. DNN Does That, and I'd like to do a series of those. I need more nationally aware companies, a name that you can just drop and say, you know, not wonder who these people are. Doesn't matter if just Joe Schmo has a DNN website. It'd be nice to use some name dropping. And so if you guys have a name, please send it to me. Put it under the videos channel here, saying, well, what about this company? They use DNN for this purpose. One thing I'd like to do is member type sites, or personalized information. Like, you know, you'd think of the first thing that comes to mind is you go to a bank website and you can log in, you can see information about you that's associated with that company. Something where you log in. Because of our very rich login user capabilities built into the tool that other applications have built upon, that would be a great thing to talk about and a lot of power. So I need input from anybody. If you guys have some names, please give them to me.
So I wanted to mention 2 things here. So one of the things, and Mark's joining, cool. One of the things is, Don, I don't know if you've already thought of this, but you could go through the showcase area of the DNN website. Okay, cool. And then the other thing too is you know, Don mentioned, you know, national brands or whatnot. I would say we shouldn't limit ourselves to just talking about national brands. But if the DNN website's doing something very specifically cool, like they may be, you know, selling, I don't know, they may be manufacturing like specially bent tubes or something, right? But if their website's doing something cool, that, you know, even though nobody knows who they are, that is equally as important. You know, like, hey, DNN does that too, right? So.
Well, I gotta disagree with that concept because a lot of people do a lot of cool things, and it really resonates with a technical person. But a business owner, somebody who really doesn't think technical all the time, doesn't care that something cool is happening. What they care about is somebody is using the tool. It's akin to, hey, this celebrity is wearing this hat, I need to go get this hat. That kind of concept. So you have to start with the celebrity. You don't start with how cool a hat it is. The hat people love the idea, but they push the idea of this person is wearing that hat. That's the concept that I'm working on. So I really would like and I know there's some big names. I was just yesterday on another for another reason on the line with Ryan Moore, and he suggested the United Nations. Now, there's a name everybody knows, so that would be probably something that I want to look into. What exactly are they doing on the website for the United Nations? So if you have somebody like that, oh, NASA, wonderful. If I can get some more from you, David, that would be great.
John, have you talked to, or Don, have you talked to John Slater?
No, I haven't.
He's in the he's on the Slack channel, but he's at Sharp Electronics. He'd probably be willing.
Awesome.
He's on the.
And Sharp is a DNN site.
Sharp
or one
USA
of their sites.
is.
Yeah, one of their.
They actually have a bunch of DNN sites.
Awesome. See, there you go. There's the names. I knew the names were out there. So I've got several right now. That's fantastic. Thank you. Just keep them coming. Throw them in the videos channel if you think of one.
For those of us that rented snow equipment in DNN Summit, the place that we all went to, that was a DNN website too.
Awesome. They're coming out of the woodworks. There's a lot of people that use them.
Yeah. Anything else for videos, tutorials? Anything else notable to in terms of progress or things that just happened? Anything else?
One other very brief thing. I mentioned DNN, previously called .NET Nuke, if you've heard that name before. And I throw it out there just as casually as that. But again, name dropping. And Scott here, our new person on the channel, used the term .NET Nuke when he described his sites. And I think there's a lot of people out there. So I want to kind of bridge between the videos and the talk about the domain name that we're talking about, not suggesting that we go back to .NET Nuke, but let's not forget the many years of mindshare that term has. To tie that in, not to forget it. And also, it would be great if whoever does Google Trends stuff could look up to see who's still typing in .NET Nuke, that phrase. I know it's dropped tremendously, but it's all relative, right? So it may still be even higher than DNN software.
All right, good stuff, Don. Anybody, including Don, any other updates or anything notable for the videos / tutorials section?
Yeah, Clint mentioned that some of his work on DNN Docs. I don't know if this is the right section for it or not, but he's been doing a tremendous amount of work there on DNN Docs, making them good.
Are there videos as a component of that?
I know there's animated GIFs.
Yeah,
Clint, maybe you can speak to it.
Yeah, animated GIFs, but the whole point is to get it to a place or point where everybody else can make contributions, right? So we took what DNN Corp had, converted it, and made it better, I think, made it pull requestable. So the docs I'm working on, the link I shared earlier, are all right now focused on like how to get started if you want to make a contribution, right? So we're kind of in preview mode right now. We've already had a couple people make pull requests, but when we I guess open it up out of preview mode, we're hoping that people will jump in and like contribute, because we can't really say, oh, the docs suck anymore, right? Because we own it. And Dave, right, it's been a lot of work just to get to this point.
All right, good stuff, guys. All right, new and updated extensions. This is normally an area that Daniel takes over. He must actually be sleeping right now. Are there any updated new and updated extensions that we should be discussing right now?
Well, so I got two that I can talk about. You know, I send the DNN Digest out, and I send the email out asking people if there are new updates. So Chris Hammond had a new release of Hammerflex, which I think is running on Bootstrap 4 or something. And Mettler and the team at TwoSick released Razorblade V1.1 and 2.6 content 9.4.0. So those are the ones that I'm aware of.
Excellent. Anything else?
On that topic, this is Jeremy, and it also flips back to videos. Adderson's about to release the video from the Toronto user group meeting last night where Daniel did his demo. So I highly recommend you guys watch that. It's about an hour, but Daniel's new technologies and enthusiasm is amazing, and I highly recommend you take a look at what he's doing and where his version of the platform inside of DNN is going. A lot of exciting stuff, quite a few surprises.
Awesome. Good stuff. Anything else? Mr. John Slater, do you have any updates for us? Because you're technically the lead for this area.
I do not, other than, I'd done the one, I guess, request for RFC on changing how the extension could integrate with DNN Store.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Anything else from anybody? I just
one thing I'm not positive where this fits in, but since you mentioned Chris's new theme or new version of his theme, what group of the groups would be talking about changing the template that's on the DNN fresh install? What that not only the theme. I understood from the summit that the theme has some problems, but also the template has a whole bunch of stuff that a brand new Wix kind of person would never understand. And is there a way for a template in the fresh install be better? And what group would be dealing with that?
Probably the technology group, in my opinion. Anybody disagree?
David, you think so too?
Oh, I heard my name. That means I have to respond. What did you say?
That's right. Thanks for joining us, David.
He's asking which group would be the best group to talk to about discussing the out-of-the-box theme but more importantly, template that comes with DNN when it's installed. And I was suggesting the technology group.
Yeah, it's probably the right group, but you could also go directly to Ernst Peter and make recommendations there, and he could probably facilitate any changes that need to be made to that. But in the end, that is a core piece of code.
In my opinion, though, one of the first steps for that could be, and probably should be, is going to GitHub and creating an RFC. So that's the request for comments to discuss, like, hey, I think, because what you're talking about, I think requires further discussion. So anybody can do this for an area where it's not necessarily an update, but it's like a request for comments to figure out what to update and how to update something. So you can go to GitHub and create a new issue and create it as an RFC, excuse me. So that way you can say, hey, here's the problems I see with, feature X, and I'm not sure yet how to fix it, so here's my ideas on how to fix it. And then that creates a dialogue where we can figure out exactly how to fix or change or update something, right? So I think that might be the first step, in my opinion, Don, and then bring that to the technology group. And there's some links.
Very good. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Can someone help with figuring out how to use that kind of stuff? The problem that we have, and I had the same thing sitting in the class with Kelly and with Clint about the DNN docs, is that it's great for somebody who is a developer and uses GitHub all the time, but I struggle with even figuring out how to download a module from GitHub because that's not my thing. I'm more of an integrator, configurer, graphic person and not a programmer, and the way that, you know, it becomes a barrier for entry for making things happen. So if you could tell me, you know, somebody help me walk through that, I'll be happy to start the process there.
Don, we posted a few links for you there in the chat window to help you do that. It's really just a page with a form on it that you fill out a title and then follow the instructions in the field and then click submit new issue. And then hopefully that'll help you.
That's fantastic. Thank you. That's great.
All right. Awesome. Great stuff. So we're going to move to curriculum. Francisco, you did make the meeting, Francisco. Or no, actually, it's Lucas that we usually get it's Lucas who usually get an update from here, but he's not part of the meeting, so I don't think we're going to have any updated curriculum. Does anybody else have an update for this one? That would be no. All right, moving on, because we only have 12 minutes. Training courses, Tracy's not able to attend. He's in a client meeting, and he's the person doing that. All right, moving on to the same thing. But David, do you have any quick info on this?
No. I think we put the 2.0 release last time, and that's been the last release.
All right.
Other than you might want to mention the new Hammerflex theme from Chris Hammond. I know that got listed in the other, but that technically is a new theme. So.
Sounds good. Yes. All right. Speaker program. So Joe used to be the champion of that. I've been talking with Kelly Kropko, I think her name is. She might actually take over the effort for this. We haven't finalized whether or not that's actually going to be the case, but we will find out very shortly. We should hopefully know about that well before the next meeting. All right. User group program. So this has kind of been up to me, like waiting on me for like, I don't know, 3 months, maybe more. But the great news is, I should add a name to this. Daniel V. Oh, and you know what? And also, I need to add a name up here. Mr. Mark has joined our meeting. There we go. Welcome to the meeting, Mr. Mark. Where do we go? All right, here we go. Almost done. All right, so transitioned code and vision to Daniel. Daniel's not in the meeting right now, but Daniel has begun taking over the effort of actually rebuilding this. Actually, hold on a second. Am I confusing with something else?
Yes.
I am confusing with something else. There's an update I failed to put up here. New update extensions. Shoot. All right. Here's my update for this. Daniel has taken over the effort to rebuild the DNN Forge.
Woohoo.
So for people like, Don just mentioned some very specific things. If somebody's non-technical, and actually to that extent, even technical people, the first time you look at GitHub, it's very difficult to figure out, like, okay, I just came here to install something and I don't know where it is, right? That word releases is where you can go and download a release package is, for one, it's very difficult to find your first time going in there. And two, when you get into the releases, sometimes, depending on how things are released, you don't know which one to even touch, right? And so DNN Forge has long been one of the things that I wanted to revive, and we've had a lot of traction on this. So Daniel's already started working on code. We already have a repo, have a DNN community. Oops. I cannot type right now. Repo. He's already kind of pulled it apart, put it back together. We received sample data from DNN Corp, so they've already been participating in this effort as well. So I'm not sure how much we'll have done by the next meeting, but we're bringing back DNN Forges, and it's going to be on the .org website. So I can't tell you enough how great that is, because that's something that used to integrate into the platform itself. And so that way it would be one of the things where, let's say I release a new extension, extension XYZ, I can go to the Forge and put it in there, and now it shows up as an available or searchable extension inside of DNN, or if I've already installed it, it shows up as an extension that, okay, there's version 2 now. So bringing back that functionality, that feature, and so I'm for one very, very excited about that. There was an experiment for a while to put free or open source extensions on the store, and the store still hasn't been updated to really take advantage of that. People just listed stuff up there, and you can see it's very difficult to distinguish between free and open source, right? So the Forge is something I'm very, very excited about. So.
Hey, Will, you mentioned that a GitHub repo has been created. What on DNN community? I do not see that.
It's already in there. It has an obscure name. At first, I thought it was not in there, and so Daniel and I went and looked, and we're like, oh, there it is. It's you'll find it towards the bottom.
Are you talking about the Forge download manager?
Yeah, it's a very incorrect name for it, but that's the original source code that used to be on DNNsoftware.com.
Oh, okay. I never realized that. All right, thanks.
Well, so the irony, David, is you're the one that created that.
I know. That's why I'm like freaking out at this point. I'm like, okay, did we do this a long time ago?
Yeah. So last week, Daniel and I were talking, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll get the source code in there for you tomorrow, and then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do this now after we're done with the meeting. I go look, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There it is. And I dug deeper. I'm like, oh, okay, David did this. Yeah. And then I started to vaguely remember you and I had worked on this like last year, and then we couldn't get push it forward.
Right.
So.
That's right. Okay. Thank you. I'll post the link for everybody in the chat window.
All right. One of the things I need to, can I copy chat? Boom. I just copying the chat. Oh, now I have to copy chat again. Copy and hello. Here we go. All right. Did I go? Yes. All right. So this is still waiting on me. The user group program. We have wireframes and everything with it built. We have a repo for it. And David, I keep promising a meeting, but I'm going to put a meeting on your calendar later today. All right?
That sounds great.
All right. All right. So our monthly goals, we want to at least 5 articles published, not just on DNNsoftware.com, but various areas. And then at least 8 YouTube videos. Okay. Bye, Jay. Thank you, by the way. We are way behind on our training course goal, so we need to figure out a way to increase the frequency of that. No one person has to be doing that. So and by the way, training courses is an area where there's a revenue component to it. So it is a good investment of your time if you'd like to make money off of a training course that's out there that once you've done the work, it just continues to train people, right? Without your involvement any longer. So anybody who finds that to be a good opportunity, I would really much like to encourage to do that. And then I think we're doing really good with the open source extension updates. We want a lot more than 8. So our monthly goals is something that we're going to want to review later. And then our long-term goals basically do the math. All right. Scott, the needed courses, I would say everything. So even if somebody, so Scott in the chat said, is there a list of needed courses? I wouldn't ever ever wait for a list or wait for somebody to tell you what to do. You know, even if there's already a DNN administration course on some website, you know, xyztraining.com, it doesn't mean that you can't create your own, and it doesn't mean that, you know, your effort is any better or worse than anybody else's. It just means now in another place, you know, we have a training course that's done in your voice with your approach, and guess what? Some people are going to like yours better than the other one, and vice versa. So I would say do whatever courses, and the typical kind of themes that they fall into is theming, development, and administration. But I would say that you could even dive into one of those areas. Like, here's, you know, specifically about administration for a super user. Here's specifically administration for content editors, right? So I would say take that ball and run with it, and then I would love to hear your progress next month if that's an area that you'd like to tackle. All right. Excuse me. Now, so our open forum, this is where we talk about anything else that we need to talk about. And there's two components to this. The first is on the recording, and then if necessary, we'll turn off the recording to discuss anything that we don't want to have on the recording. So does anybody have anything for the open forum? Is Mr. Bueller here? Not to be confused with Buell Singh. Nothing. No one has anything to say. All right, going once, going twice. All right, I'll shut off the recording in a moment just in case there's anything else for that. But if you, for those of you that have attended, thank you very much for attending. Thank you for your comments, your feedback. You know, bringing things to the table, for your participation in general. For those of you who are watching, kind of same thing. You know, even watching these videos is part of well, post the link. even watching the videos helps, because, you know, it keeps you informed, and the information we put out there generally is something that can help you with DNN and the future of DNN. So if you'd like to be part of the group, again, you know, post something in the comments, reach out to us. We'll get you in the group. We'll get you into one of these efforts. And from he wants to do a shout out for the DNN Yeti video remix. So I'm going to copy that link, put that in here. So Mr. Ron Miles is known for writing songs at DNN Summit about DNN community members and the event and the product and so forth. And then he did another one yet again at DNN Summit this year, but then there was a remix, and the remix is pretty cool. So that's the link to the remix. And we're going to go ahead and stop the recording now. Thank you very much, everybody. And it's